welcome back to AR77. Thanks once again for joining me for this review video, which is kind of a bit of a departure, really. This is different to anything else I've got on the channel. It's still an airgun, it's still a replica, but this is a spring piston, brake barrel replica of the Ruger Mark IV Hunter. This is a .177 pellet gun and it requires 0 CO2. So that's different to everything else I've got. All my other guns are CO2 powered, kind of multi-shot or semi-automatic. This is slightly different. So the real steel is a 22 long rifle, rimfire semi-auto with, I think it has a 10 round magazine. Let me just show you a picture of the real steel. You can see that it's really quite similar in the way that it looks to the real steel. It's a pretty faithful replica, apart from a couple of elements. And if I show you a picture of the website as well, you can see that this is definitely the Hunter model because of this kind of trademark fluted barrel there. And as well as that, if we look at the right hand side, we have it etched into the top of the gun there, Hunter. So this is the Mark IV. And I believe they did a good thing at Umarex when they decided to make a replica of the Ruger Mark IV, because prior to that, the gun was different in the way you took it down or stripped it. From the Mark IV onward, or at least this is my understanding, they added an easier method where you press a button at the back and the whole top part of the gun kind of pivots around here, and then you can take it off and take it down and so on and so forth. What that means is, for this replica, there is a valid reason for having this screw here, or this kind of pivot point here, which is essential for the operation of the replica because of the presence of the cocking linkage here. So obviously that's one point that looks completely different to the real steel. You've got this cocking linkage here and the associated pins there in the barrel, but it does mean that doesn't look too out of place, because if I can show you down here, that portion of the gun does look very similar on the actual firearm, other than this point at the front there. So let's take a look around. This is metal at the top here. This single piece at the top is all metal, and the gun itself it's not a heavy gun, but it has some weight to it. Other than that, the rest is pretty much plastic. The front portion of the barrel is plastic. Obviously, your cocking linkage and stuff like that, I think that's all obviously metal. But the frame is plastic as well, plastic grips, plastic fixtures and fittings from what I can see. Your trigger, I think, might well be metal. And your sights at the top there at the rear are metal as well. If we take it from the front, we've got a non-recessed barrel, but you can see if I don't know if I can show you that. Maybe you can pick it up there, that it is a rifled barrel, as you would want, really, from a single shot pellet pistol. You have this lovely fluting down there, showing you that it is the Hunter model, and you've got a very accurate looking, in terms of accurate, from a replica point of view, fibre optic red sight at the front there, red fibre optic sight. The front portion of the barrel here is in two pieces of plastic, which is, it's neither here nor there. I suppose you'd prefer not to have that seam, but I can see why they split it along the horizontal rather than the vertical, because of, I guess, the rigidity of it, for the again, for the kind of the linkage here. Also, what that means is when you're looking down the gun, that front portion looks like a solid piece, which is nice. As we come to the kind of the rear of the top, you've got this lovely etched marking, Ruger Mark IV, and that's nice. You've got adjustable sights at the back, and as I said, they're metal, adjustable for elevation and windage there. You've got a screw at that side as well. Further etching on the right hand side where it says Hunter here. We've got some further kind of details here. It's not a cut-out ejection port, obviously, but you've got some kind of bolt details that they've kind of etched in there, which make it look nice, and some subtle pellet caliber markings here. A bit of white writing on the linkage here that shows you it's manufactured by Umarex under license from Sturm Ruger & Co. And that's kind of it. So apart from these unfortunate kind of pin marks here, everything else looks okay, I think. I think there's some good attention to detail, you know, with the contrasting pieces. You could get the black version, and you could say, well, actually, the cocking linkage would not stand out as much with the black version. But I like the contrast of this kind of silver version here. I like the contrast of the sights. I like the contrast of the black trigger. Your slide release there, your safety here, the faux wood grips. This is with the real steel, you'd kind of cock it by pulling that back. That's essentially your slide and your slide release there. That slide release doesn't do anything. You do have a working safety here. So it all looks nice from that point of view. I just wish they'd carried it on a little bit further onto things like the mag release there, and the other pins could have been finished off in black. You've got a kind of a faux magazine at the bottom here. If that had been black as well, I might have liked it a little bit more. None of these things bother me greatly. I'm just saying here are some things where I think I perhaps would have improved upon the way that they've decided to kind of colour it. As I said before, though, there are some lovely bits of attention to detail. You know, the etched writing, I do think looks really nice across the top of the gun there. I like the fact that we've got this Ruger logo in the pretty decent faux wood grips. The grips themselves, if I show you the real steel here, the grips look really accurate in terms of the way that they are designed, other than the medallion there would be kind of red and silver on the real steel. We also have that logo, that Ruger logo, continued onto the kind of the base of the faux magazine there. Again, would have been nice if that looked like it was a separate magazine, but never mind. On the takedown switch at the back as well here, we've got a... can I get that to focus for you? We've got the logo there as well. The way it would work is you'd press that button and the top of the gun, this is on the actual real steel, top of the gun pivots and it kind of comes off and you could take it down in that way, which was seen as an improvement over the previous versions of the gun. What else did I mention? Oh yeah, the bolt details on that side. They don't, nothing to write home about, but it's a little bit of attention to detail for those of us who like things to look a bit like the real steel. It's not 100% accurate as a replica. It's not going to be compared to things like the Glock 17 Gen 4. It's not going to be compared to things like the KWC 1911s. This gun, for me, I bought it for a number of reasons, which I'll go through in a second. For you, you might want to consider, you know, if you were looking for something for a bit of fun in the back garden that wasn't going to cost you any money in CO2, for instance, you might want to consider something like this. You know, if you were looking for a pretty standard break barrel airgun, you might prefer it to look like a replica of a real gun. That's where this might kind of sit. Why did I buy it? Well, first of all, as I said, it's very different to anything else in my collection. It's very simple to operate. You just break the barrel. I'm not going to cock it because I don't like shooting these things without a rounding. I don't know why that is. I just don't. I tend to not like to shoot pellet guns without pellets in them. Break barrel ones, that is. So you cock it like that, bring it down. Doesn't take much force. When you do that, the safety will automatically engage so that by the time you bring the barrel closed again, you are on safe, which is good. And there's a nice reassuring click when you disengage the safety. Again, I wish that had been continued onto the other side. I wish it was a true ambidextrous safety as it is in reality. Or at the very least, I wish they could have made that black on that side. But yeah, it's dead straightforward. No CO2. Single shot. Quite quiet to shoot, actually. So really back garden safe, which is a nice thing as well. You're not going to annoy your neighbours. There's something about it being single shot as well, which means you invest more in each shot. Which means it's good that you have adjustable and quite decent sights. You know, the fact that you've only got one shot, accuracy is going to be more of a consideration for you, and it does shoot fairly accurately. It's not the most powerful airgun, but it's certainly powerful enough to work on accuracy downrange and enjoy that element of the gun. As I said, it's that sort of zen thing of, right, I've got one chance to get this right. So I'll break the barrel, I'll put my pellet in, I'll close it up, let's get that shot on target. And if not, okay, let's go again. And it's that what I find quite relaxing kind of state of shooting. So very back garden friendly. You could probably shoot this in your house as well if you've got enough room. I'll probably stick to outside with this just because just because I prefer it, in all honesty. It pretty much looks the part and it feels well made. You know, it's not really heavy, but it feels like it's got some weight to it, in no small part due to that really solid metal piece there. And I think the plastic pieces do a pretty good job of passing for metal. You know, they've got the colouring right across the whole gun, so it doesn't look like three separate types of material. It all looks pretty good. Cost also, this cost me exactly £80 here in the UK, which is nothing like the cost of what I've paid for some of my other CO2 powered air guns. So I think it's a reasonable price to pay for something like that. A lot of thought has obviously gone into it, and it works really well as a gun. Again, I've probably said this 100 times already. It looks so different to anything else in my collection. It's very reminiscent of something that they'd use for a prop off Star Wars or something like that. It just looks really handsome. I think it's a really handsome gun, and I'm actually really pleased I've got it in the collection because it is so different. Not just in the way it looks, but in the way it shoots and the way that I have to kind of operate it. I don't know. Let me know what you think. It is an air gun. It is a replica, so it does belong on the channel, and I'm really glad I picked one up. If you've got one, let me know what you think of them. If there are any issues with these, let me know of that. Also, if there's any knacks or hacks or things to be aware of. But as far as I can tell, it's a pretty straightforward gun. And a really nice looking replica, I think, of the Ruger Mark IV Hunter. Thanks once again for watching. Please do like, subscribe, share, hit the bell. And I'll see you again for more reviews, tips, advice, random musings on AR-77. All the best. Take care. Stay safe. Bye.